Kunar Province, Afghanistan, 2005. Taliban is a remote village in the middle of a sparsely populated region. This is a stronghold for Islamist insurgents and an American target in the war against terror. Top of the list is Ahmed Shah, a local Islamist militia leader linked to the Taliban. He is the subject of a kill or capture mission. But the operation goes drastically wrong. US Navy SEAL Marcus Luttrell is fleeing for his life.
Luttrell, the way he describes it, he sees all his teammates die after this bloody battle, and he survives. And he says he has, more than 10 through and through bullet wounds.
Journalist Ross Schneiderman has closely investigated his story.
Luttrell says he breaks his back, he breaks his nose, his face is all scratched up, he's been shot, he's got shrapnel in him, and he's hiding from the Taliban, fighting back.
By Luttrell's account, he's losing blood and seriously dehydrated. Barely conscious, he somehow drags himself through the forest, keeping just ahead of the enemy.
Taliban! 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 Freeze!
Mohammad Gulab is not Taliban. He's a local villager.
This guy's holding a big gun, a scoped assault rifle. The guy has his gun ready. And Gulab tried to tell him, I'm a friend. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Gulab needs to convince Luttrell he is not a threat.
This guy is just a mess, like he's in real trouble.
He came towards me directly. He aimed his gun at me. And then I thought he was scared and telling me, make sure these people don't kill me.
Mohammad Gulab recalls the difficult situation he now faced.
I was all alone there. The Taliban were after him. The danger was severe. But the good thing was that my village was near. It was just 200 to 300 meters away from me.
The Afghan villagers have deep traditions based on honor and hospitality.
I thought, now that he surrendered himself to me, I won't hand him to anyone.
It's a tribal code of honor, known as Pashtunwali.
What that basically says is, any stranger that comes to our village, that comes to us, we're gonna protect them. That person can be our enemy, but if they come to us asking for help, we're gonna protect them.
It's a decision that will change the course of Gulab's life. By taking him in, Gulab will make himself and his village a target. The Islamist insurgents are extremely brutal.
Taliban enforced a very harsh interpretation of Sharia law onto Afghans, and it involved cutting hands if you stole something. It involved hanging. It involved stoning. This made people not only despise them but also fear them. So they ruled by fear, and everybody feared the Taliban.
Not everyone in the village supports Gulab's decision.
They tried to persuade me. They told me, don't jeopardize yourself. Don't jeopardize your family for this American. Give this guy to us, and we will hand him to the Taliban so that you are safe.
Luttrell knows that his life hangs in the balance.
Luttrell was still pretty nervous about what was going to happen. He doesn't know these people. They don't speak his language.
But in his condition, Luttrell has little choice than to put himself in the hands of Gulab's family.
His mouth was dry. He was traumatized and he was severely thirsty. He was in a very bad condition. He would have died from lack of water if I hadn't found him.
Despite putting his nephew and his wife at risk, his family agrees to shelter the American.
Essentially, Luttrell is completely reliant on Gulab and the other villagers to protect him. But it was through Gulab he saw somebody, he saw in his eyes compassion and kindness, and somebody who was willing to save him.
But it isn't long before insurgents hear about the Afghan villager who's sheltering an American. As Gulab returns from evening prayer, he spots movement on the mountainside. It seems the insurgents are surrounding the village.
I think Gulab was not only brave, but also he took a huge risk. They're scared of the Taliban. Taliban might come and destroy their village or kill them.
Shah's men have waited long enough. Shah has killed government forces and police. His men will kill to get what they want.
The Taliban demanded that I hand him to them.
But Gulab stands by the Pashtunwali code.
I said, no, I will never hand him to anyone. He has surrendered himself to me, and now that he has, I will not give him to anyone, as long as I'm alive.
As things get heated, the village elder rallies behind Gulab. The insurgents may have a fierce reputation, but the village elder is still a force to be reckoned with.
We here in the West may think, oh, it's the Taliban, they'll just kill everybody, right? But in reality, this militia, they have to win hearts and minds just like the Americans did. They can't just indiscriminately massacre civilians because it might hurt their overall efforts.
Local villages form the insurgents' power base. In this delicate balance of power, the elder has a lot of influence. With his backing, the dissident villagers fall in line.
My people and my village supported me. They said they would stand behind me and fight for me. Importantly, the Taliban at that moment weren't strong enough to resist us.
The insurgents leave. But Gulab and the elder know they'll be back for the infidel. It's essential the village remains united, because when Shah's men return, everyone will be at risk. Meanwhile, Gulab stays close to Luttrell to keep him safe.
You can see Luttrell's gratefulness for Gulab saving his life, for him taking him into the village. they tried to talk and, even though they didn't speak the same language, somehow communicate about their life. At one point, Marcus had told Gulab that he was married and had kids, and Gulab tried to tell him a little bit more about the village. I think they had a lot of trouble communicating, but over time, what was really communicated was just that they were friends and that they were safe.
US, United States, I need to get home.
Although they share no common language, Luttrell manages to communicate that he needs to alert his superiors to where he is hiding. There's a nearby American base in the city of Asadabad, nearly 40 miles away over the mountains. He wants someone to carry a message.
So he wrote a note, a very basic note. It's called Write in the Rain. It's a little green piece of paper that's waterproof.
Ed Darak is an author and journalist who's been embedded in this region of Afghanistan and closely studied Luttrell's story.
He wrote an American, and he tried to give a rough location of where he was. And he wanted the villagers to take that to Asadabad.
It's a dangerous mission. If the message is intercepted, the courier's life would be in danger. The village elder volunteers. He is less likely to suffer if he's stopped. But he's an old man, and time is running out. By now, the insurgent leader, Ahmed Shah, has heard that the Afghan villagers are sheltering the American infidel.
Ahmed Shah was fighting against Americans in the mountains and everywhere. He was determined to get Marcus and exchange him with his men imprisoned by Americans.
Luttrell was part of a mission to kill or capture Shah. Now Shah wants revenge. He has killed the rest of Luttrell's team. But a live captive would deliver important leverage and a huge propaganda coup.
Ahmad Shah and his men had captured a number of the SEALs' equipment, and immediately they made a video. That really showed the world, hey, look what we got. But if you can get someone, if you can get an actual Navy SEAL, that is tremendous. That would have, skyrocketed him into insurgent infamy.
But Shah needs to try a new tactic to get his man.
Shah's men meets with Gulab and makes a demand. They say, you need to give us Luttrell back, and we're going to give you some money. We're going to compensate you for handing him over.
They know it's a powerful lever. More than half of the Kunar region lives below the poverty line.
They told me to show them the guy, that they will just ask him some questions. But I didn't agree. I told them that he was taken out of the village and we cannot show him to you.
It's clear they don't believe him. And Gulab fears that when they come back, his will be the first house they search.
If they knew where he was kept, they could rush in and grab him, without needing to fight the whole village. My only worry was to hide him somewhere that no one could reach him and kill him.
Gulab knows the village is under surveillance, so he waits for darkness before moving Luttrell.
You could be easily watched, and if you are committed to a cause like Shah was, he would have his men watch people.
Exposed to mountain snipers and vulnerable to a night raid, It's crucial that Luttrell's precise location is kept secret. But some of the villagers don't think they should risk their lives for an American soldier.
There actually were a few villagers who were kind of like, well, maybe we should just give this guy up to Shah's men. I mean, like, we don't know him or whatever. And Gulab, so not only did Gulab have to protect Luttrell from Shah's men, he also had to keep the rest of the villagers in line.
Knowing his life hangs in the balance, Luttrell offers the villagers money.
You have to remember, Luttrell is trying to do anything to save himself. So apparently he's writing down pieces of paper and trying to tell people how much money he's gonna give them if they save his life. He's writing $200,000, he's selling $1 million. He's trying to offer them, you know, his belongings.
Gulab is disappointed to discover that villagers are taking advantage of their American guest.
It was a betrayal. They turned against me. It was deceit. They acted against me and I used all my force. We didn't want people to think that we were interested in his materialistic value. He was our guest and should have been happy. We need not take anything from him.
He said, listen, like, we're here to protect him for Pashtunwali. We are not here to protect him for money, and you better listen to me and you better respect my authority.
Ahmed Shah steps up the campaign against Gulab. He sends a very clear message.
If you don't hand over the American, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna kill your family.
But we would not desert him, even if it cost us our lives. They demanded that I hand them the guy. They said, don't sacrifice your life for him. It is a huge threat, not only to me, but to my entire family and tribe.
Gulab turns on the insurgents and warns them that the villagers have their own weapons. But his threat won't stall them for long. With no sign that the village elder has alerted the Americans, Gulab discovers unsettling news.
We were under a severe threat. We were getting information about their plans, the plans on their gatherings for attacking us. They came different ways through the mountains. They had surrounded the entire area.
Somehow Gulab has to get Luttrell out of the village before the militia attacks. He leads Luttrell to a clearing, the most likely landing spot for a rescue helicopter. Then Luttrell's memoir describes a heart-pounding encounter.
At least this is the way he tells in his book. He sees Ahmed Shah in the distance and looming over them as if to say, you know, we're going to attack. You better watch out.
The villager and the American are exposed in a landscape teeming with insurgents.
They don't know exactly how many men are out there, but all they know is that these guys killed 3 Navy SEALs. They seem to have a lot of firepower. They're really angry at the villagers. They really want this American, and they seem determined to do anything they can to get it.
If Gulab men got into a fight with Shah's men, I think it would have been disastrous. Thousands of people would have been dead. It would have been a bloodbath.
They hear footsteps just yards away. But it's Luttrell's rescue team.
I'm Luttrell!
He saw the Americans coming for him, and he was very happy. He was so pleased when we handed him over to them.
His freedom is imminent.
Luttrell and Gulab felt tremendous relief that this was all going to be over.
But everyone in the valley can hear the helicopter. This is Shah's last chance.
Taliban! Taliban! Taliban!
But the Americans have air support, suppressing any enemy fighters. The Americans take their chance.
When the chopper departed, then I took a deep breath of relief and joy.
Five days after Shah killed his SEAL team, Luttrell is finally safe.
I was very happy that I protected our honor and our Pashtunwali principle. And he was handed to them safe and sound.
Here, with Luttrell's rescue, Hollywood's film concluded its story. But for Gulab, the real story is just beginning. Fearing retribution, Gulab has to move his family to safety, going into hiding in the city of Asadabad. But the militia has a vast network of informants. And it's only a matter of time before his past catches up with him.
Eventually, they learn that he's not only in Asadabad, but they learn where he's living.
As he's leaving his house, they attack.
It was around 9 or 10 at night when I left home.
Gulab kind of falls back, kind of tries to dart into the house, but a bullet ricochets off the wall and hits him in the upper leg.
I never thought that something like that is going to happen. That the situation will be so bad and my life will be in jeopardy.
Miraculously, he survives, but it's a near miss. It's clear that the Afghan villager needs help.
Gulab had continuously tried to reach out to Luttrell since they had parted through his contacts in Asadabad.
A call is arranged with a translator and Luttrell, who is now back in the US. When Gulab tells Luttrell what has happened, the Navy SEAL is horrified. He'll raise money to help Gulab. But Gulab's family will only ever be safe if he can get them to America.
Luttrell said, hey, you should come, move to the United States, we can see what we can do.
But Gulab is determined Islamist terrorists won't force him out of his home country. And at least he knows he has support.
he now has somebody who could come and potentially rescue him, who could return the favor for saving his life so many years before.
In 2012, the Taliban make another attempt on Gulab's life. But this time, Gulab is not alone.
One night, Gulab was riding back with his nephew. His nephew was driving a car. Gulab was in the passenger seat, and Taliban fired on the car.
Gulab escapes the attack unscathed. But his nephew is not so lucky.
A bullet pierces his nephew's skull and kills him, and Gulab is absolutely devastated. You know, up until this point, the threat had always existed, but nobody had been killed. And Gulab felt a certain sense of responsibility. The nephew was targeted because the real target was Gulab.
Gulab won't be safe until he moves again. Over the following months, Gulab and Luttrell stay in contact through a translator. Despite the death of his nephew, Gulab is reluctant to leave Afghanistan. But then events in the US create an opportunity. Luttrell's story is being turned into a Hollywood film, and the studio would like Gulab to join the publicity junket. Luttrell is excited for his friend to come over.
He kept asking me to come. He said the movie was being made and cannot be finished without you.
It's a chance to show the world that not all Afghans are terrorists. Gulab arrives to a Hollywood media storm.
As Gulab is having this great time, he's also talking to Luttrell about his future. And Luttrell is saying, hey, listen, again, you should get a green card. You should come over here. Gulab is feeling great. He's having so much fun. He's really enjoying it. But eventually, things change.
Things take a turn for the worse, as Gulab discovers the movie doesn't depict events as he recalls them. During a conversation with Patrick Robinson, the co-author of Luttrell's book, Gulab becomes aware of differences in the story he himself and Luttrell are telling.
He hadn't really heard the details, and so as Robinson is asking him this stuff, he's starting to dispute it, he says. Gulab's account differs from Luttrell's in various ways, but in a couple critical ones. The first one involves the issue of the goat herders.
In the book and the film, it seems the Navy SEALs are betrayed by local goat herders, who give up the SEALs' position to the militants.
The way Gulab tells it, it wasn't that the goat herders told Shah's men where the SEALs were.
Gulab believes the presence of the SEALs was common knowledge throughout the region.
The tragedy that unfolded really began at the very beginning of the operation when they inserted them.
Everyone knew that a helicopter had landed in the night.
The sound echoed around. Ahmad Shah and his men went looking for whatever was going on. And they followed the footprints, and they found where they were, and they saw them. They made an ambush.
The book and the film depict Luttrell's team fighting off an overwhelming army of militants.
In Luttrell's book, he says that he and his fellow SEALs killed, dozens of Taliban who were just pouring down the mountain, coming after him. Luttrell estimates it eventually to be about 80 to 200. and an hours-long battle ensues.
A lot of people were after them, but only very few found and fought the Americans. I think they were 30 or 35 or maybe 40 Taliban in the whole area, of which only 14 fought the SEALs.
Ed Darroch has researched this in depth and has come to a similar conclusion about Shah's forces.
What he actually had during the ambush was 7 men. And that comes from 2 videos that were shot by him, verified to be him, that were captured by US intelligence.
But if Darroch and Gulab are correct, in the heat of battle, the discrepancies may be easily explained.
You would think you'd be attacked by many more people because it's just, you know, particularly when you're attacked with a machine gun and rocket-propelled grenades, it just sounds like there's so many more people firing at you.
The SEALs are unbelievable, skilled fighters, but you're completely surrounded by a slightly larger force with more firepower. Doesn't matter how badass you are, unfortunately, you're a sitting duck.
Journalist Ross Schneiderman challenges the writers on the truth of their claims. Their lawyers mount a forceful defense.
Luttrell's lawyer said that everything in the book that Luttrell and Patrick Robinson wrote was true.
But the disagreement appears to drive a wedge between Gulab and Luttrell. Their relationship falls apart.
Things seem to break down in the friendship the way Gulab tells it. The way Gulab sees it is, towards the end of this trip, after all the promotion of the movie had started, that Luttrell basically didn't talk to him for a month. And Gulab's really upset.
Gulab says the rift becomes irreparable. Though to this day, Marcus Luttrell challenges Gulab's version of events.
I talked to Luttrell's lawyer. I legitimately wanted to know how they saw it. They basically said that Gulab left on his own accord, that he wanted to go home, that he missed his family, and that everything Luttrell said in the book was true. And if you listen to Luttrell's speeches, he continues to say that he and Gulab remain friends.
Whatever the truth, when Gulab returns to Afghanistan, he discovers that the publicity has put him firmly back in the Taliban's crosshairs.
When the movie came out, this exposed me to the people so much. I never wanted to expose my face to people, but any place I go, they recognize me.
The film enrages the Taliban, and Gulab's role in Luttrell's escape is laid bare.
Gulab is not only has saved an American, but also he represents some sort of resistance against the Taliban movement.
In Afghanistan, word spreads as well among the Taliban, who then decide, oh, we've got to stamp this guy out. We've got to take care of him because this is going to inspire other people to help Americans.
Not long after he returns to Afghanistan, the Taliban promises to blow Gulab to hell.
They are after me, trying to harm me by whatever means. They want me dead, and to put an end to this matter. There is always a life threat, and you don't know who is an enemy or who is a friend.
The threat finally forces Gulab to reassess his situation.
I realize that it is impossible to last and live here. Either my children, my guests, or I might get killed. So I took the decision to leave my country.
But Gulab struggles to get asylum in America. When journalist Ross Schneiderman's team hear about Gulab's latest situation, they want to help.
We played a small role, and essentially what happened was we wanted to understand what Gulab's options really were. So we Googled like immigration lawyer, and up came Michael Wilds.
Michael Wilds is so moved by Gulab's story, he volunteers to take on his case for free.
And here was somebody who stepped out of his own space at great peril to himself and his family to do something heroic, and was caught in a political, bureaucratic red tape. And it was unconscionable to me.
The well-connected lawyer pulls out all the tricks to try to get Gulab safely into America.
There was an exponential gap in our immigration laws, and that safe haven and safety was not being accorded to heroes, and Mohammed deserved it.
We left our village and our motherland for the American. We got wounded for him. We lost our dear ones because of him.
Wilds uses the media to put pressure on the US government.
We leveled the media in a way that would attract greater interest. I find turning the lights on sends everybody to the right corners. The glare of the camera kind of sets everybody straight.
And he encourages the US Embassy in Kabul to send a recommendation to settle Gulab in America. But it's a slow process, and the forces against Gulab are gathering. He has already moved house to evade the Taliban, but now the net is closing in.
One of the scariest attacks is the Taliban. Basically, they found out where he lived, and they began to assault the house where he was living at.
We escaped and started a counterattack.
Gulab and his wife race for their lives up to the roof.
And they were firing down at the Taliban as the Taliban assaulted their home, and they're firing into the darkness.
Gulab has the advantage of higher ground, but the battle continues with no sign of help.
Afghan security forces don't have the capacity to go and respond.
The standoff holds until, with daylight, the militia retreats.
Gulab was alive, only now he felt totally alone. Gulab finally lost hope.
I don't think Gulab would ever be saved in Afghanistan.
After the attack, Gulab receives sinister phone calls. The Taliban will not leave him alone.
I never thought at first that my life would turn to this bad condition. I was disheartened so much because there was no hope that we could live safely in Afghanistan.
As the threats ramp up, Gulab expects his fate to be sealed.
Only this isn't the Taliban bullying him and threatening his life. It's a call from his American contacts saying, "We're going to get you out of the country. You're finally going to be safe."
Wilds has had a breakthrough. After a decade on the run, Gulab's visa is approved.
We were happy that our American visas were finally granted. We will have a peaceful life. We live in peace.
The Afghan hero, who risked his life and his family's to save the American, will now finally be safe in the United States. Settled in a job with a local business and embraced by new friends. He's lived to tell his story and prove to the world how generous and heroic the Afghan people can be.